This week's edition of NJBIA's Minding Your Business is brought to you in part by AT&T, helping family, friends, and neighbors connect in meaningful ways every day. PPAC Gladstone Bank, known nationally and in New Jersey for providing unparalleled client service, integrity, and trust for over 100 years. New Jersey's community colleges, aligning education to build an innovative workforce. Find out how your business can benefit at njpathways.org. And by New Jersey Business Magazine, providing critical information needs for New Jersey's business community for more than 66 years.
Welcome to NJBIA's Minding Your Business. I'm Bob Considine. Well, the Murphy administration wants to ban the sale of new gas-powered cars by 2035, which is certainly grinding the gears of many New Jersey residents and the business community. Here to talk about what it could mean for the state in the long term and the short term is NJBIA Deputy Chief Government Affairs Officer Ray Cantor. Ray, thanks so much for being on the show.
Bob, it's always a pleasure.
Yeah, so this rule, let's start with the rule itself. Where is this rule? Why is this happening?
About 30 days ago at this point, the Department of Environmental Protection proposed a rule essentially to join the California clean car system, and that rule would result in the phase out and eventually elimination of all gas-powered cars in New Jersey.
By 2035?
By 2035, they would be banned.
Okay.
If they're able to adopt it this year, which they're trying, it'll start taking effect in model year 27,
Wow.
and we'll start seeing impacts of that immediately.
Okay. So, NJBIA has launched a campaign basically opposing this ban of new gas cars by 2035. What is driving, pun intended, the opposition on this?
Well, there's really three main areas why we're opposed and why so many other businesses and people are opposed. One, these cars are not currently affordable. There's an assumption that has been made that the prices would be dropping down and they would be comparable to gas-powered cars. That's not happening. We're seeing the price go up. As a result of this rule, not only are EVs and new cars going to be more expensive, but used cars, gas-powered cars, will be more expensive too, and we can talk about those dynamics. So there are a lot of people, especially low and moderate income people, seniors, students, who just are not going to be able to afford these cars and ultimately won't be able to afford to drive at all.
Wow, and that would impact their livelihood, right?
They'll impact their livelihood. They have to get to jobs.
Yeah.
It'll impact businesses. They won't be able to travel to the shore. They won't be able to travel to get food, go to the doctor, etc.
Right.
So these are major changes to society, major impacts to the economy. And we're just trying to bring that message out there.
Right. And what are the other reasons for the opposition? You mentioned
a couple of reasons. It's just not doable. We're talking about a 12-year period of time to go 100% electric. Currently, we're only at 8% of cars are electric right now, new car sales. And that's really the early adopters. We don't have the electricity. We don't have the distribution system to supply the electricity. Right. We don't have enough chargers, and not just public chargers, but chargers in people's houses. 90% of all people who have EVs charge their vehicles in their home garages. A lot of people don't have garages in New Jersey.
Right.
We have densely populated urban areas. We have apartment complexes, condos, etc. These people just aren't going to have the ability to charge their cars. Right. So it's just not practical to even do this. And just lastly, it's about consumer choice. There are people in the state who love their EVs, who want EVs. Fantastic, great. We support the technology. But there are a lot of other people that EVs just don't work for them. Maybe you have a family, you need a larger car.
Right.
Affordability, again, we talked about. Maybe you like to travel and you don't want to have to stop every few hours for an hour or so to charge your vehicle.
Right. Time is money, right?
Time is, assuming you can even find a charger. So, EVs are great for certain people. They're not great for everyone. We think consumers should have a choice.
All right. And you mentioned, 100% by 2035, but there are, as you mentioned, goalposts along the way. So I was reading that by 2027, the model year for 2027, we would have to have 43% of new car sales be electric vehicles, correct?
43% in 27, 51% in 28. And again, currently we're only at 8%.
Right.
And those are the early adopters. We have dealerships right now, car dealerships right now, where EVs are being stockpiled because the consumer demand to buy them is not there.
Right.
And since you have these mandates, let's take 28. Basically 50-50. It has to be 50% EVs, 50% you can sell gas powered cars. If dealers aren't selling that 50%, they have to sell less gas powered cars too.
Right.
So therefore, the amount of new cars available in New Jersey aren't going to be there. We object to by the way, to going out of state to find your vehicle.
Yeah.
That's not a solution.
Well, that doesn't give a good message to the business community.
It's a horrible message to the business community, and it's horrible for our dealers in New Jersey. And then once you have less gas-powered vehicles generally, the price of all used cars, which are gas-powered, are going to go up. So while people may say, hey, you can always buy a used vehicle, well, people aren't going to be able to afford those used vehicles either.
Right. What about incentives? That's all we always hear. You can always get an incentive for a new electric vehicle.
There are some federal incentives out there, not for all EVs, but for some, at the state level as well, but they don't close the gap. So, if you want to buy a comparable EV versus a gas-powered car, not even close to closing that gap. And again, prices are going up, and those incentives aren't going to be around forever. They may even be gone before the mandates begin.
Right.
They have to be funded. We can't afford as a society to buy everyone's car for them, essentially.
Is the subject of where all this electricity going to come from a part of this conversation? What impact it might have on the grid if we electrify our entire auto fleet in New Jersey?
This is so beyond the realm of possibility. And by the way, everyone knows we don't have the electricity to do this. So I think the proposed Energy Master Plan, or the governor's Energy Master Plan, anticipates that if we electrify cars and buildings, that we're going to need between 2 and 3 times as much electric power as we have today. Not to even mention, the growth for electrical power from other things that are going in our economy. So the electricity is just not there. You can't charge something if the electrons aren't coming through the wires.
Right.
And even on a smaller level, the local distribution system can't handle this either. So if you put right now 3-4 cars on a block and they're all charging EVs, the transformers can't handle that. So you have to upgrade these transformers on all the blocks, much less the wires. The amount of infrastructure needed to make this happen is substantial, it's costly, and no one is planning to even do it.
Wow. What about, we talk about, the feasibility of this, and I read a lot of Facebook comments on this. This is a very hot, popular topic on our NJBIA Facebook page right now. And a lot of people, they are opposed to it. I would say probably 90%. But of those people who are opposed, they say, well, you know what? Governor Murphy's not going to be here in a couple of years. This is his idea. Why do I care? Why should people care?
They should care because once the rule's proposed, they're trying to adopt it this year, it starts the clock. It's Murphy here or not, it is law. And everyone's going to start acting accordingly. Everyone's going to start ramping up or doing what they can or backing away. Prices are going to start probably immediately to go up once the rule is passed because the market has now changed.
Right.
And even if a new governor comes in and wants to undo that, it's a 2 or 3 year process to do that. So no matter what happens, Murphy here or not, new governor or not, come 2027, everyone's going to have to live with this law.
Wow. I was even thinking Virginia had the same thing happen. They had the Clean Car Act 2, whatever they call it. And they recently tried to repeal it, and they weren't able to do it. Change it government.
Yeah. Again, everyone thinks things could change on a dime. They can't. There are processes, in place There's potential litigation. So, the best time to fix this problem is before it becomes a problem.
Got it.
So, that's why we're doing this advocacy campaign to make sure that everyone is aware of what's being proposed.
Right.
We need to stop it now.
Yeah.
We can't let this to go into law and then say, oh, we could fix it later. You can't always fix it later.
All right, so wrapping up, part of this campaign, everybo's going to njbia.org/EV.
Correct.
Where people have the opportunity to tell the legislature to get involved. And I know there's a coalition of 100 businesses or more, business leadership or more.
And unions as well.
And labor unions who are also sending a letter to the legislative leadership saying, can you please do something about this? Is this where it's going to get stopped through the legislature?
This is where it has to be stopped. Mm-hmm. So the public can also reach out to the governor and say, we don't like this, don't move forward. But we're counting on our legislative leaders, our elected officials, to go to the governor and say, this is not what we want. If we're going to move in a direction where we're going to change how people live their lives, change who could own a car and who could not, change how our economy works, we think the legislature should be making this call and not just one department in the executive branch.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if the legislature actually needs an education on the investment needed for infrastructure even to possibly make this stuff happen.
But Bob, converting our entire gas-powered vehicle fleet of 8 million cars over to EVs is going to have significant impacts. It's a complicated process. There's probably a lot of things we don't even know that we're going to learn, if we move in this direction, especially how it's going to impact, low and moderate income folks and businesses all around the state. So there's a lot of education that needs to happen at all levels. Mm-hmm. I think some of the people who are proposing this understand some of those challenges. The DEP regs say there are a lot of things that we're going to have to figure out, but you don't pass a regulation mandating an entire change to an essential product, or I'll stay with product, in New Jersey without knowing these answers up front.
All right. Well, people have their chance to speak out. They obviously can leave their comments with the DEP directly. Correct?
Absolutely. There'll be a public hearing. I believe it's on September 20th. Public comments could then come in afterwards, I think, up until October 21st. Mm-hmm. And I would encourage everyone as well, go onto our webpage, njbia.org/EV. There is a easy letter you could send to the legislators or to the governor. Take action now, because if you don't take action now, we'll have to live with the consequences.
Right. Well said, Ray. Keep up the good fight.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, we'll be back right after these words.
We are made to connect. Stepping into limitless possibilities. As we create with purpose, influencing the culture as we rise. Contributing to a world of inspiration.
We are Black Future Makers.
Learn how we're fighting for your business at njbia.org.
Welcome back to NJBIA's Money Your Business. I'm Bob Considine. Well, the 9th Annual Women Business Leaders Forum, powered by NJBIA, takes place on September 27th and September 28th. This is the state's largest women business networking event, featuring more than 50 speakers and panelists who seek to inspire and empower. And one of those noteworthy presenters is Shakira Johnson, the founder and chief impact officer of Maple and Monroe, and she is here with us today. Shakira, nice to see you.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
All right, so I mentioned before we talked about Women's Business Leaders Forum, I did mention Maple Monroe. What is this organization? What is this company that you've started?
So Maple and Monroe is a social impact think and do tank.
Think and do tank.
Yes,
I love that.
Think and do tank, because we think about it, but we're doing it too.
Right.
And really our mission is to help business catalyze their impact through innovative and sustainable ESG campaigns, initiatives, and events.
Right.
So this is for organizations that want to improve their ESG scorecard, This is for organizations that want to double down on their sustainability or also just their social impact in the communities they serve.
All right. So ESG is environmental, social, and governance, right?
Absolutely.
All right, great. So before you had a company, it was called Johnson PR and Events, right? So is this an extension of that, or is this something different altogether?
It's an extension. It's a reimagination. And how we got here is that, so during 2020, like many of you, we were home with COVID, and I said, the world has changed forever. I knew it in my gut.
Right.
And I said, people are going to need more help than ever going forward. And if we're putting our blood, sweat, and tears into this company and the team, I want to do something that's really going to move the needle and help people. And so in that moment, started to really think about social impact and how we could help to double down on that. And social impact has always been a part of strategic communication, PR, but just a part of it. It was always my favorite part of PR.
Probably the part that's closest to you, maybe, is it perhaps?
Closest to my heart, because really this is my purpose. So really Maple and Monroe is the fulfillment of a career and really an opportunity to move my purpose into a global arena. And what do I mean by that is, so my background's marketing, social impact, like I said, strategic communications, public relations, community relations, all of those things, events. And now with all of those things, and then plus the expertise of the team, we're able to put that into initiatives and programs that help for corporations especially, but government entities and legacy nonprofits as well, to really double down and move the needle on their impact. So it's a reimagination. It's not necessarily a departure. For me, it's really the opportunity for us to impact even more people. In addition to helping corporations, we have an internal goal to positively impact 1 million people per year through these campaigns, initiatives, and events. So it's really more us leaning into social good, into social enterprise, and really being laser focused on the type of campaigns and the type of work that we want to do with companies, and doing it from a place of love, understanding that they're doing their best, but also from a place of accountability to say, absolutely, you will get your photo op, you will get your press release, it will go on the website, it will go on the blog, it will do all of those things, but also we need to really move the needle. And something we had talked about is that, so on paper, more than $20 billion a year is spent on corporate social responsibility. If you add in philanthropy and all of the other things, I really am thinking it's closer to $1 trillion a year is spent on social impact, philanthropy, all of the things, but yet most of the world's problems are actually getting worse. So we said, we can help with this. If the resources are there, the people are there, all those things are there. If we work with these entities, we can help them to either flex up their programs or shift their programs or help their leaders obtain buy-in, whatever it is that's needed to move it so that, yes, we again get all of the PR components, but at the end of the day, we see that communities have been impacted positively. Things have changed.
And you're moving the needle.
And we're moving the needle.
Do you find that, are you working with any corporations that really have even started on this path yet of ESG? And you're starting from ground level?
Well, what I found is that most corporations have, at the minimum, some type of corporate social responsibility, foundation, philanthropy component, right? But what I would say is that in the past, a lot of it may have come from marketing. So a lot of the pieces were a marketing piece. So even if you think about DE&I, a lot of it, they may have been doing a supplier diversity or something like that, but it was more along the vein of marketing, respectfully. You know, and a lot of the other things were being done, but they were being done in more of a silo type of way. Really, going into the future, these initiatives will have to be part of the core competency and the culture of the organization, coming from the top down. It makes good business sense. Really, organizations that don't follow these principles are going to actually end up starting to be phased out, because new consumer behavior demands it. You know, I think about my daughter. I just started to allow her to wear makeup. That's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
But
Is this summer we're talking about?
this is not summer.
Okay.
It's Jasmine, who had a volleyball game, so she wasn't able to be here.
Right.
But she wears a small indie brand of makeup.
Right.
She doesn't wear the same makeup that I wear. And that's by her choice because of they don't have as much packaging. They don't test on animals.
So it's mission driven.
It's mission driven
Right.
for her. And she's going to continue that into an adult.
Yeah.
And so consumer behavior is changing where consumers are really demanding that companies are part of the solution as opposed to just being, oh, well, we're not involved with that or we don't speak to that.
Yeah.
So there's that one piece. And then the next piece has to do with employees and employee engagement and retention.
Right. Oh, that's
Employees are saying, I see what they're putting on the website. That's not what's happening.
Right.
You know, I see what they're putting in these glossy reports. That's not what's happening. And employees are leaving because of that. You know, gone are the days where people would just be somewhere because they had to be. Now
Right.
people want to work where they feel as though it connects to their personal legacy and their personal beliefs. And then lastly, investors are really doubling down on this. It's actually called impact investing.
Right.
But it's this idea of what are these ESG scorecards saying? What are they doing? It's a way for them to manage risk because they also understand that, again, if you're not taking these things into consideration, your consumers or your constituents, eventually you're going to lose market share. You're not going to be able to retain top talent.
Right.
So for them, it's a way of managing risk. So it's investment, it's employees, and it's consumers or clients.
Right.
All are really demanding that we move in this direction.
And when you put all that together, and that's a lot of stuff, it must improve the financial picture for these companies. correct?
Absolutely, it's a no-brainer. You're going to make more money. You're going to be able to retain your talent. Just think about how much it costs when you are turning over employees, especially when they're in the leadership positions. And then also investment, if you want to scale, if you want to grow your business, if you want to go into new markets, right? We talked about us going global and really
Yeah.
being able to help people all around the world. But think about if you're trying to expand to other countries, you just can't go there, build a factory, do this, do that. You have to take in mind what's happening with the people, and you're going to have to create some type of infrastructure there that positively raises up that community. Again, gone are the days of just taking.
Yeah.
Now we're moving into a golden age of love and giving and
Right.
support for humanity.
Right. That is very good information, and it's a lot to take in. But you said something interesting about events, and I was wondering, are events part of an ESG initiative?
Absolutely. Events should be a part of an ESG initiative because it's an opportunity, number one, for you to bring your community together. So rather these are internal events or they're external events. It's a way for you to connect with people in a way that you can't really connect in other ways. It's
Right.
also an excellent opportunity for you to meet your constituents, meet your employees, meet your investors, whoever that population is, and hear from them. Hear what they're saying,
Right.
hear what their feedback is. But, you know, my background being PR,
Yeah.
strategic comms, it's also an opportunity for you to really storytell
Yeah.
and communicate your initiatives and your vision, your goals, what you've done. What I've also found with many companies is that they have done things. They are looking to move the needle. However, that story is not getting out.
Yeah.
The story, they're just the storytelling component of
Yeah.
how you get that out, especially in the local community, is not really there. So that community engagement piece a lot of times is missing.
Yeah.
So it may be happening again on that internal blog or on maybe a newsletter. It may be happening
Right.
somewhere, but it's not really touching people. Events allow you to really tell that story visually through the different type of printed materials or digital materials that you have there, the speakers that you have there. It also allows you to tell that story through, again, just being able to showcase people, the numbers. This is how much we've given. This is how much we've done. It also allows for you to have success stories to come, right? So if there are organizations or institutions or people that your company has helped, you can bring them to those events and then they can share those stories there and then people can meet and greet with them. And you get really that grassroots credibility that's important.
Right. And very good. Do you say you're expanding globally? I heard something about Africa. Are we going to bring this to Africa?
This is going to Africa. You heard it here first.
Right on, minding your business.
You heard it here first. Thank you for sharing. Yes, we are looking for markets in Africa. Africa being close to my heart, as it is the continent that I actually did my DNA and found out that 5,000 years ago, my DNA is from a village in Africa.
Okay.
So it's close to my heart in that it's part of my actual lineage.
Right.
But also, Africa is a very wealthy, diverse continent. There's so much growth opportunity there. It actually has the largest young population in the world.
Right.
So it's going to be the most populated continent. And it's an opportunity for businesses that are looking to expand there to do so with integrity. It's also an opportunity for us to really help populations that are there on the ground.
Very good. And yeah, we should go over this. We only have a few minutes left, but you have a book, your first book coming out. When is this coming out? What's it going to be about?
So the name of the book is Over the Veil, 21 Keys for Leaders Who Want More.
Okay.
And what I have found in just being a confidant and a support to leaders for more than 20 years, rather they've been elected officials, CEOs, COOs, all of those things, as great as their titles are, their power, they are people. They are humans, right? And so they go through many of the other things that other people go through, but they may not have, I would say, the opportunity to always share that publicly.
Right.
That being said,
That's good.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I would get a lot of questions just about, one COO was saying, I'm having trouble sleeping. Just different things, or people who they've been doing things at this point 10, 20, 30 years, and they're like, it's been great, but I want more. So really, again, going back to 2020, I went through a personal shift. I found my bliss in 2020 in terms of just moving from just, if I will, going through the motions to living in my purpose.
Yeah.
And so it's these 21 keys that are tested, that I've personally done, that will help people to shift more into a purpose-driven life.
That's
and they're simple. You can do 1, you can do 10, you can do 21.
Right.
They're from a place of love. There's no judgment in it, but just tangible takeaways that people can do when they are saying, I want more. And while that feeling can be very uncomfortable, it's actually a call for more in our life. So when we start feeling like, I want more, there's got to be more, something's off, it can be uncomfortable, but it's actually the call to go greater and to do more. And this book really just is a simple telling of practical things you can do to have more out of life.
Oh, we can't wait for it to come out. We'll definitely promote it once it comes out.
Thank you.
Well, let's talk about, as we close today, the Women Business Leaders Forum, NJBIA's 9th annual Women Business Leaders Forum, September 27th and 28th. You're going to be there. You're going to be working on a panel called Finding Your Bliss, ironically enough. What do you hope to get out of it?
Well, more what I would love is for the audience to leave with takeaways to find their bliss. So for those who are, again, feeling that there's more, I want more, for them to leave with practical tools that they can do to find their bliss. And for those who already have found their bliss, to be able to double down on it. Because as you know, it's not a destination, it's a journey, right? So we really want to have people to leave with takeaways that they can do in their lives. And actually just yesterday, we had the conversation with all the panelists, fantastic group. And we have structured it so that the attendees have participation in it also. Because as great as it is that I'm here, I'm honored, and that I'm doing the panel, NJBIA's network is, top of the tops. Any of the women in that audience could be on the panel, right? So we really want to create almost a round table where we're able to learn from one another. So we want the audience to feel like they're a part of it, but again, we really just want everyone to leave with takeaways of what they can do to find their bliss.
This has been great. Shakira Johnson, Maple Monroe. Go check her out at the Women's Business Leaders Forum. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Same here. It's been awesome.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on NJBIA's Minding Your Business. We'll see you next time.
For great networking and educational opportunities, check out njbia.org/events.